I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Welcome to the Bryan Board of Public Affairs meeting for May 17th, 2016. First on the agenda is to approve the minutes for the regular meeting of May 3rd, 2016.
I make a motion that we approve those minutes.
Second.
Karen?
Yes.
Dick?
Yes.
Jim?
Yes.
Bill?
Yes.
Tom?
Yes.
Next, we'll approve the minutes from the special meeting of May 11th, 2016.
I move that we accept those minutes.
Second.
Tom?
Yes.
Karen?
Yes.
Jim?
Yes.
Dick?
Yes.
Bill?
Yes.
Next is a hearing of public concerns. Anybody present like to address the board? Seeing none. Next is Clerk-Treasurer's report.
The board's been presented with the Clerk-Treasurer's report for the month ending April 30th, 2016.
Can I have a motion to approve?
I move we approve the financials.
Second.
Karen?
Yes.
Dick?
Yes.
Jim?
Yes.
Bill?
Yep.
Tom?
Yes.
Okay, moving right along. A resolution to authorize a firm gas transportation service agreement.
Okay, this would be resolution number 19, 2016, a resolution authorizing the Bryan Director of Utilities to enter into a special arrangement for firm gas transportation service agreement with Ohio Gas Company, Bryan, Ohio, to become effective January 1, 2017. So I'm going to draw this out a little bit, so I'm going to give you some history behind this. So Resolution 28, 2014 was a special firm gas transportation contract very similar to this that was passed by the board back in 2014. It was never executed in the sense of the board approved it. Ohio Gas ran into some commissioning issues on that line that comes out of Nay, and they did not execute the contract fully. So that contract sort of sat there. On December 16th in 2014, we passed a resolution which was number 42 that rescinded 28 and then went back and recognized resolution 18. And resolution 18, just for informational for you folks, was a interruptible service contract that we had in place prior to the firm. Okay, so December 16th, resolution 42 rescinded 28, recognized that we would be operating under the interruptible, which was going back to what we had before. Okay, so unfortunately for us, the interruptible contract was what we had in place and what was there while we were still working through some negotiations and whatnot. That particular contract, because it is interruptible, led to us missing some of our peaks because we had some gas that was curtailed, which means the capacity that we were asking for wasn't there, okay? So we sort of knew that. So with that being stated, we really started working with Ohio Gas to come to some kind of resolve on a firm contract. So what's in front of us is the new contract that we've worked on for quite a few months. And this contract itself that I provided to you in your board summary is the basic backbone of that contract is the same. Now where the meat and potatoes lie, and this happens to be in the Appendix A. And those are the things that we really needed to look at to make sure we were going to be spot on. So this current gas contract calls out that we are going to be, and I hate to say on the hook, but we're going to be under contract for 6 runs at, the runs will be $13,000 each run. Okay, so, and I'm going to walk through this slowly because the old contract called out that same type of structure, however it was built on a monthly basis. So over the 12-month period of the old contract, you'd have been, no matter what, paying about $156,000. Okay, this particular contract, risk was shared both ways, and we're now going to be at the tune of 6 runs guaranteed. Even if we don't run, we're going to be on the hook. We got to pay for 6 of them, at about $78,000. So there's savings right there. So the risk is shared both ways. The good thing about this is up to 10 runs, we still pay that 13. In excess of 10, up to 20, we're at $5,000 per run, which is a capacity side or a demand charge. And then there after 20, it's $2,500. So it's a tiered system. That's good and that's bad. So there's a risk reward type thing there. Risk is Ohio Gas has spent considerable money on getting that line up in place for ourselves and all those that use it. So they have to have a tool to recover some of their capital expenses. On our side is, if we don't run at all, other than those 6 times, we are only going to pay that $78,000 plus whatever the fuel is, okay? If we run a lot, we can also then defer some of that cost across all those that we run on, okay? Last year we ran about 30 times. We trend anywhere between 20 and 30, sometimes less, sometimes more, but as I told you guys in the past, markets are changing. So when we run today, we're peak shaving, which means we're shaving our current peak and selling that into the market. So we definitely want that ability to run, and we need the ability to run whenever we want to, when it makes sense, okay? Another portion of this contract that is a little different than the past one is we call out a gas day as 24 hours. Now that's key because gas days are typically not measured in a 24-hour block. They are set in 3 incremental parts throughout the day, not on a regular day. So with us, if let's say, example, if gas day starts normally at 9 a.m. and we're called, and typically in the wintertime we would be called at 3:30 in the morning to start our turbines up and run until about 8. Under the old plan, if we were monitoring it, we'd be called under 2 different gas days because we'd be under the prior and then the new. Under this, we fall in that 24-hour window, so we can run as many times as we want in that 24-hour period at only one charge, one $13,000 charge, okay? It's key because in the wintertime, there are many times when you start hitting winter peaks, you will have a early morning peak and you will have a late afternoon peak when everybody gets home. So that 24 hours for us is key, so we can run at 4 in the morning and then at 5 o'clock at night, if we start to see those loads trend up, we can run again under the same blanket. So that's key. That's beneficial to our customers as well. The other part is we wanted the ability to still, and I appreciate Ohio Gas working with us on this, the ability to still do maintenance runs to keep our units tuned and running and not be penalized for it. Matt Killian and those guys, Bob Iyer and those from the gas company sat down and calculated what we'd expect to see on an average year for maintenance runs, but we also made the language in the contract that you read very usable, where we could call them, talk to them about more maintenance runs than what's on paper, and we can work with that. So that's a good thing. We're not getting penalized for that. Oh, let's see. The last thing is, so I covered the gas day, the maintenance run, and the capacity side. Everything else, the true-up costs and all that are the same. So just for some numbers, so under the non-executed contract, we would have been on demand charges for about $156,000. The new contract, let's say I would run the minimum 6 plus the extra 4 or 10 runs a year, which we could probably hit that. That's $130,000. So we would actually still see a savings of $26,000 based on the old contract. Even if we went into the next tier, so we got into that over 20 runs and we're in the 2,500, we're still seeing the savings. So let's say if we run 20 times, our expenses are about $180,000 in demand costs, but the year end without the extra would have been $156,000. So the difference is 24. That's 24 to their side. But if we ran the 10 runs in a calendar year and we spent just $130,000, our savings of the 26 is still there. But if we ran the 12 equal times, so if we ran 12 times versus the old contract, we would have spent about $140. So we're still saving $16,000 against the old. So it really is. If you don't run, there's a benefit to our customers. The middle of the road is we share the expense in the middle. And as we start to tip towards the right-hand side where we run a lot, yes, Ohio Gas sees a better margin, but we also start to also see benefits on that as well. Okay? Now, typically when we run, we're going to run for peak. which is transmission peak, and we're also going to run for your what they call your 5 CPs, or your coincidental peaks throughout the year. This also gives us the ability to run when market conditions warrant it. So if you approve this, we will sit down, Matt and staff and myself, and we'll put together a spreadsheet that shows us our levelized cost of entry, which means the break-even number, if the market conditions are X and our cost is this, we need to see at least this much to always break even. And we're also going to break that into number of runs throughout the year. So this is going to be a sliding scale, so we'll track that throughout the year so that when we decide to run, let's say market conditions are at $500 a megawatt hour, our break even, our levelized cost of entry is $200 a megawatt hour or 20 cents a kilowatt hour. You know, there's 3 cents that we're going to make off of every kilowatt hour plus capacity. That margin, even though it's built into their the first 10, still has to make us money. You know, we have to make money on the units we have. Currently, just for transmission side alone, 1.5 million in savings every year on your power bill. So this contract more than covers that. So I know I threw a lot of numbers out there, a lot of data. We spent a lot of time working on this. I appreciate Ohio Gas and their ability to sit down and really work with us on this. Good group of people to work with. Questions, comments?
The life of the contract.
The life of this contract is 2 years.
And then it says something about after the 2 years, it goes month to month.
Mm-hmm. And during that month to month, we would, of course, we'll be sitting down and evaluating what worked, what didn't work. You know, that too was a compromise. For both of us, we do not want to be caught in a contract where the risk actually outweighs the reward because we get hurt in the process. So let's say you're into this and we're going, man, this contract hasn't worked on our benefit. But Ohio Gas on the other side, because they have their neck out there as well, they don't want to be caught in a contract that's very limited for only a year and can't recover some of their expenses. So the compromise, the way we ran the numbers, was about that 2-year mark, with the agreement that we would sit down probably 3 months prior to expiration and go through this to make sure it still made sense for both. At which time, if there needs to be a tweak, we're still covered under this. So let's say that happens to be in the middle of winter, and we're still working through the next phase 2 years from now, because this is a 2-year contract beginning 2017 J1. So 17, 18, 19 hits, and we're in the 2020 year, which is J1, and we're still negotiating. We're covered under this. We're still going to get the fuel at this expense. We're not going to get gouged. It's a good working relationship, and then we can start to deal with what did work, what didn't work. The old contract, the old firm, was a 3-year contract. So you were basically, you know, you were right off the bat in a 3-year period about $400 and some odd $1,000 in demand charges that you're going to pay no matter what. This one's not that.
They mention a 1% adjustment for
True up.
unaccounted for gas, UFG.
Yep.
I'm a little confused. What's
So unaccounted for gas is very similar to losses in the electrical system. You have a mechanical system that sits there with joints and connections and everything else, and there's always for every connection or valve a little discrepancy of what comes in and what goes out minutely at 1% on ours. Our load's the same way. Every connection, every piece of wire, every transformer uses up a little bit of power, so it's a loss factor. We true up on our bill. I would expect them to true up the same way.
This allows for that.
Yep.
Okay.
What is the estimated number of times you'll be running this year, maybe next year? Can you
Can I give you numbers?
estimate?
Like I said, so last year we ran 32 times under their records. Prior years we were running around 20 to 30 as well. I would say an average year, if the weather patterns hold, which we all know that hasn't been the case the last couple of years, probably at least 20. I'm going to say the very bottom end is 20. So we should be in that that bottom tier before we're done. Ideally, I would love that market conditions were up and the power prices were up and it was hot out and we could run, because it is a very good revenue stream for our customers to
I was just
offset.
going to ask, is it better to run in the winter or in the summer?
It depends, and it's all market conditions. Now, wintertime, and I'll have my power plant guy correct me here, and I'm okay. In my thought process, the wintertime is probably better because the units are more efficient. Summertime, you won't get all the goodie out of them because the heat factor causes problems. Did I get that?
And
In a very rudimentary way?
And again, the market will dictate that.
Yeah, and your
Sometimes
peaks
it's
change.
good, yeah, and the peaks change. So,
You know, the big bang for the buck for the future is the transmission capacity portion of our bill. Those dollars are the biggest savings. Under PJM and some of the other things that are going on, the rate of return on construction for transmission is about 12.5%, where distribution and other spots in power production, be it power plants, is less than 2.5%. So mathematically, it makes sense that everybody's dumping money into transmission because that's where they're going to get the most bang for the buck. For us, that's a good and bad. We do feel it on our bill. However, if we catch our peaks and shave them the right way, we're shaving a large dollar amount, and as well as if we're generating on top of it, we're getting that credit for it and getting a check every month. So that, I'll be honest, that revenue stream on a monthly basis today between 240 to 260. Does that seem fair, Lori?
It does.
And that's a separate revenue stream that we track as it comes into the utility to help offset operational costs and everything else. So. Anybody else? Bill?
Yeah, this will be for Matt. Page 3, it talks about items C and D. Cannot exceed 700 MCF sliced DTH per hour, and then 16,000 for the day. And my question would be, what if GT1 and GT2 were running at max? Would that be enough supply to run those at max? Is that?
We should be able to maintain that.
Okay.
Keep us running.
All right. Because they're in that point, they're maxing us out at some point. I didn't know where our max was with our.
So those numbers were derived from Bob Iyer sitting down with Matt and saying on max production runs and you ran for 12 hours a day, will this meet your needs? So we didn't want to go beyond that because you're going to pay for that extra.
Right.
But the number that meets a 12-hour run,
So that's a 12-hour run max.
give or take, is that about 12 on that day?
Okay.
So you wouldn't anticipate running 24 max
No.
because there wouldn't be enough demand probably.
Basically, we went back to historical numbers plus the heat rates of the units and come up with these values.
I'm trying to think, you used to have to run a test to prove that you could produce what it was that you claimed that you could produce. We don't
That's-
do that anymore, right?
That's demand response.
That's
That's the program that,
Went away?
it hasn't went away. It's changed so only the big boys can play in this pool.
So little guys like us can't play.
Because so on demand response, whatever we would sell in, we could still get in it. But the problem is, if we jumped in for, let's say, $5 per kW, so we have one unit is 18,000 kW, so it's 5 times 18,000 is what we have as a revenue stream. It is 125% of your $5 that you have to pay back to the market if you can't run. That risk is not worth the reward. And that is part of what PJM has done because they were commodity brokers buying into the market and not been able to produce a kilowatt hour. And the rest of us
So
were
they
having to pay
penalized
for it.
those brokers because they couldn't produce anyway.
Exactly.
So if you can't produce, don't be in the market.
Right. So now for us, the peak shaving side of that is more where we need to be because that's an instantaneous, and we're getting those market conditions anyways. Not every month, but
So
whenever
you're
we
being
run.
asked to run to shave, or we're looking at it saying this helps us.
Yes.
So when we're being asked to run, that's not peak shaving then?
It's still peak shaving.
It's still peak
That's
shaving?
your coincidental peak.
Okay, coincidental. Okay. Well, how much are they gonna charge us for capacity, or excuse me, a maintenance run, or are those just
Nothing.
gonna be gas charges?
Just gas charges. And realize gas charges are not in here. That's a
Right, gas
commodity
charges are separate
contract.
from the demand
That's separate.
side.
Yep.
Right?
Yep.
So whatever gas is at the market price, or are we agreeing on a market price, or we're
So
spot price, or what are we doing?
in the summertime, so January and February, we negotiate a firm gas pricing for those 2 months,
Okay.
just because it is your coldest 2 months. Now, that's a process in itself, because if we negotiate too early in the season, they build a risk into it. If we negotiate too late, we get caught behind the 8 ball as well. So there's a sweet spot there. Other than January and February, we're taking spot pricing. Whatever market conditions are bringing, we pay that. And it's usually been pretty favorable. You don't want to lock in a long-term commodity part of that. It's not in our favor. Ample How does it, and you guys have passed.
Yeah, Fremont Energy's done that.
Right, but you need somebody that's truly a commodity broker on your staff because you need puts and other hedges to back that up. We're not going to do that. We just want to make sure we're covered for 2 months in the winter.
Okay. I didn't know if Lori or Lou Pendleton had special skill sets. I didn't.
Lord does.
Anybody else? Okay. Can I have a motion, please?
So moved.
Second.
Bill,
Yes.
Dick,
Yes.
Jim,
Yes.
Karen,
Yes.
Tom.
Yes.
All right. Next on the agenda, a resolution to purchase a JLG 3246ES for the electric department.
Okay, this will be resolution number 20, 2016. A resolution authorizing the Bryan Director of Utilities to purchase a JLG 3246ES for the electric department from McAllister Rentals, Fort Wayne, Indiana, for $19,760.32. So, working with Mr. Killian, I asked Matt when we got permission to sell our very old JLG that had some structural integrity issues, so that process is still going. But I asked Matt to get me some numbers on getting us a piece of equipment for us that makes sense. Okay, and not necessarily saying the old JLG made sense at the very end because it had specific duties over a 20-year period and we have changed since then. I asked Matt to go to the state terms pricing and anybody that he received quotes from, we wanted government pricing. So Matt was out and about and got some quotes from United Rental and also from McAllister. United Rental came in at $22,950. McAllister came in at $19,760. After discussing with Matt, they quoted exactly the same part, which I included those quotes in your board packet so you can see that. Exactly the same part. They were the most competitive price. Together we're recommending that this would be the purchase we want. We also should have been in your packet included a photo of this particular model, and it's a scissor lift. So a lot of times, we say JLG, you're thinking of a squirt boom. This is a JLG scissor lift. So
We had a scissor lift before, or was it a boom?
we had a squirt boom. Yep.
This looks like it'll be a lot easier to maneuver in there.
Oh, absolutely, it'll be something that we can actually use inside the plant with the
Yeah.
LG. Only way we could use it was stick it in from outside the door and it's
And this thing will work 40, what did it say,
37
37 feet or something?
37 feet working time.
And this one happens to, and correct me, Matt, has a little heavier basket, so you can take material up with you.
Right.
Conduit and other things.
Does that get to the crane height, or?
Yes, easily.
Easily? Okay.
So
Plus,
really,
it'll be easier to store.
Absolutely.
a lot of purchases like wire and other things come in at $20,000 all day long. On this one, the board had approved us to get rid of the other one. We wanted to continue on that same path to keep you guys in the loop. So that's why we brought it to you as a resolution. So
Do we sell the other one?
let's pass this one. We'll talk about that then after this.
Oh,
Do you need a man lift?
that.
What's that?
Do you need a man lift?
No, I don't. Just curious.
And the two quotes we had were apples to apples? Was
Identical, same machine.
And that's quite a savings from
Yeah, it is.
retail.
Yeah.
Yeah, retail
Wow.
pricing. This is a
Was
big savings.
there that much of a markup on them? or-
Well, I was getting, we're just looking around and used prices for this machine was like 12,000.
Whoa.
That's for 2018.
Yeah, that don't make sense. You're better off with a new one for that.
Just with the government pricing, it is a real deal.
It's a big difference.
Wow.
Lead acid batteries?
Yes, I think there's 6 volts.
Yeah, 6 volt with 4 of them. I just want.
Excuse me.
Thanks for the picture. It helps.
One more question?
Make a motion, we get this bought.
Second.
Dick,
Yes.
Tom,
Yes.
Jim,
Yes.
Karen,
Yes.
Bill.
Yes.
Do you want me to make some mention about the other one we're getting rid of?
Sure.
Okay, since Mr. Pepple brought up the OLJLG, which I'm okay with.
You didn't want me to bring it up?
No, I did actually. So the board gave us permission to go sealed bids on that, and we did. And the winning bidder, after they met with Mr. Killian to go over the unit, realized that those that he was working through, I'm not going to name which one of these groups, sort of misrepresented it in such a.
I'm trying to used car deal.
I don't know anything about used cars. It was misrepresented. So, you know, on our side, in good faith, Matt and I talked. We weren't comfortable with the whole situation. So we said, you know what, we're going to go back out for sealed bids again, which we did. And I don't know if those will open up yet. When do we open those up? Or have you guys open those?
Friday at noon. I think.
Okay, so to do what's right, we went back out for sealed bids, and we're gonna open them up with the same kind of reserve on it. However, I'm gonna throw this to the board. If we don't hit that reserve, that means this piece of wonderful equipment is not worth a whole lot. We will then revisit the sealed bid again, a third time with no bottom reserve. Okay? So, but we're taking this process because we want to show we're doing it the right way.
So, remind me, what's whatever the reserve is?
We initially had the reserve of $6,000 and we did attain that, but after the successful bidder came and looked at it and said that this is not, they didn't tell me that it was completely red tagged and you couldn't use it until I repaired X, Y, and Z. That was a misrepresentation by those that had the unit prior to us. Okay, so like I said, I'm not going to point fingers at anybody's company. So we came back and said, okay, we realize there's $2,000 worth of welding and some other structural things that need to be done, just so that this person could probably use it to trim a tree at his house, if a person wanted to buy it for that safely. Matt and I adjusted that price and set it back up. Now, if we don't get 4, it is what it is.
So now the new reserve is 4?
Mm-hmm. And we have interest.
I don't know. I don't know what's been sent to, I don't see those.
I've had several calls and a couple people look at it, so there is interest.
So this time we put it on 2 different papers. We put it in Craigslist, and Craigslist was set up that you're going to bid on this. Yeah, you can bid on it. I'll hook you up.
No bids have yet been received in my office.
But that's where everything's in a funnel too. Now, it would, if a person's familiar with used equipment, they could surely bid on it.
Yeah.
Okay, I was just thinking I got Christmas lights.
You can decorate,
There you go.
decorate trees with it.
So like I said, we're doing our best to get a fair value out of it, but you know, we'll bring it to you when, whatever process we end up with.
Okay.
Those expensive Christmas lights that you haven't changed over to the energy efficient
No, I'm
ones?
not on the energy. I'm on LEDs now.
Oh, boy.
Yeah. I've seen the light.
All right. Next on the agenda, affect semi-monthly disbursements. Can I have a motion to pay the bills?
Move we pay the bills.
Second.
Karen,
Yes.
Dick,
Yes.
Jim,
Yes.
Bill,
Yes.
Tom.
And next is comments from BPA and staff.
On our end, we're starting to get going with the cost of service study for the electric department. That template is put together and sent to us by Utility Financial Solutions. I have probably 6 or 7 staff members here working on it, and then Lori and Pat have been kicking out the information they need for ours. So hopefully in the next 3-4 weeks, I can get that pushed back to Utility Financial Solutions so they can start to really model those numbers and have some meetings on, you know, our generation assets and some other things that they will have questions on. We are pretty unique in the sense of we have generation, we are also in projects, and we have quite a bit going on. So other than that, dam, power plant, augmented generation, I'll let Matt hit that when you guys go through to him.
Okay. Mayor?
Just a little bit, you're getting power where you bought salt.
This year, we only have to bid, we're going for 500 ton. Normally, we go for 1,000 or 1,200 or how long. So we had a nice winter last year, so we have 600 ton in the barn and 300 stored at the county. So we've got 900 ton right now, so we're going out for bid with Ohio Department of Transportation for 500 ton.
It's not getting rained on, it's dry, isn't it?
It's dry. 55.86, I think we paid this year for salt, so we're hoping it even comes down better. So along that line. And then the other thing is that we had our meeting last night, and most of the agenda was either hiring personnel or changes or going out for bid. We're going out for we're going to look to try to build a building behind the north building for the vehicles out there. So we're going out to see what kind of bid we would have. If we have enough dollars for that, we'd like to do that. And then we mentioned that we're at Memorial Day already. Memorial Day will be held 9 o'clock at Fountain Road Cemetery. Parade lineup is at the Goodwill parking lot at 9 o'clock, and we invite you to the cemetery for that. Won't be long, it'll be 4th of July, that's the next one after that, so it's going fast. So, other than that, that's all we have.
Okay. Lori? Yeah.
I'd like to inform the board that Mandy Frank resigned from my office this week. She was an account clerk too in my office, primarily on income tax, but she also handled utilities and customer service. Per the mayor's direction, we went ahead and expedited posting for her position, so we are posting for that right now. It's a big void in our office. As you know, income taxes have changed an awful lot this last 2 years with House Bill 5. So we're working on that. In addition, we're going ahead with the credit card changes that we're still doing. Lou helped us quite a bit. She did a poster for us so we could put it in the window for customers coming in. And we've also included notes on your utility bills that'll be rolling out now to inform customers as those go through. The new system will be fully integrated, I would imagine no later than middle of July, but it'll be up and functioning by June 1. At least that's what they're projecting for us right now. So we're aiming for June 1. But the information is being disseminated. We'll do a full flyer later in the year when we have everything all linked in the way that we want to see it. We want our customers to see it and let everybody know what's available. But again, credit cards in June will no longer be free of charge to the customers. And if they want to set up ACH, we're getting a high volume of customers switching over to ACH and cash and checks. Again, there's no fees on that as well.
Okay. Joe? Okay. Matt? Jackie? No? Okay. Tom?
Yeah, I just wanted to thank you fellows again, Joe and Matt, for that tour we had last Wednesday. It was just amazing to see all that old, like the old dam, but all the new technology that goes into running it. And finally, in fact, you kept mentioning SCADA system. Every place we went, it was SCADA, SCADA this, SCADA that. And so I had to Google it to, it's hard to remember, but I know it's supervisory control and data acquisition. So I did learn something. Great job, thank you.
Bill?
Yeah, a couple things. On the tour, this is the first time I had been down the Marcus Corridor, physically driving right down the Marcus Corridor, and got to see those poles that were set. I don't know when they were set, but they are straight in a line still to this day. They look pretty good. So it's really in good shape. So that was interesting. The tour was fantastic, things we learned. So I appreciate everything that all the departments that we visited. So it was really good. The other thing I would like to thank is the gas company to get this contract settled. I think that's a good thing for everybody in the city of Bryan. And I appreciate the gas company working with the utility on that, because that gets a thing for all of us to benefit from, because we can shave the peak. That really saves everybody that's in the system money. I think that's a real positive. So it's good work there.
Life is good.
Okay.
Missed you on the tour, and it was a great tour, very impressive what all the superintendents were able to accomplish in a period of years. I saw it many, many years ago, and you all have done a very wonderful job. And I want to reiterate what you said about getting that gas contract in place. Very happy to see that happen. Good job, Bryan.
Yes. Yeah, the tour, what can you say? Yeah, it's been just 4 years since I ended my employment here, but I was really surprised. No, not surprised, that's the wrong word to use. I was pleased to see how good everything looked and the improvements. And I'm sure there was a lot of extra hard work done by the employees and the superintendents and the supervisors to get everything ready for us, and appreciate that. Also, the video that they have out, I've watched that, and that was well done. Video of our tour, so yeah, it's great. It's a job well done. Okay, with that, I'll ask for a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
Dick?
Yes.
Karen?
Yes.
Jim?
Yes.
Bill?
Yes.
Tom?
Yes.